Imagine waking up one day, too sick to move, then dying for 20 minutes. That's my story, and it's crazier than you think. I woke up one day bright and early and ready to start my day for school, but I couldn't get out of bed. My body ached and my head was splitting, and worst of all, I could hardly breathe. My lungs were burning like someone put a hot iron down my throat, and I couldn't explain to you the sheer agony of that morning in every part of my body. My eyes peered across the room, down at my pale white hands and sweat-drenched sheets, and I moaned, "Mom." She didn't hear me, which only made the situation worse, as my raspy cry was about all I could muster out of my lips. With the stupidity of a young kid, I decided it was in my best interest to try getting up again. I pushed my hands down, trying to hold my weight, and to no surprise, I completely crumpled and spilled onto the floor. It hurt. A lot. I wailed out a mumble and felt the air scorch my windpipe all the way down. Thankfully, the sound of a 5-year-old tumbling out of bed must have finally caught my mother's attention, as she slammed open the door and hit the curve into my room at a turn that would make Dale Earnhardt Jr. wet himself in jealousy. "Sweetie, are you okay? What happened? You look like you saw a ghost," she cried out, coddling me. She immediately knew something was wrong when I gasped for breath and couldn't even say a word. She scooped me up and plopped me in the car, and then we drove to the emergency room. The whole drive there, the lights from the sun blinded me as they danced across my eyesight. I had to squint and hold my head down to shield my vision. It felt like a 4-hour drive, when in reality it was only 15 minutes. When we arrived, I was escorted in by my distressed mother, frantically crying and screaming, My baby! My baby can't breathe!" The receptionists were quick to get me into a room, holding my mother back as she tried to claw her way with me. The hospital lights were intoxicating, but not like a euphoric intoxication. It was like waking up with a brutal hangover while you're still shit-faced drunk, spinning and ready to hurl at any moment. I don't remember much of my early time in the room when it was filled with doctors screening everything and putting all sorts of machines to work. I felt like I was dreaming. I was in a haze. The world around me was slowly zooming around me. After a few hours, I learned later that they told my mother whatever was happening was a total anomaly. They couldn't pin it on anything. I should be operating like a perfectly normal kid. But for some reason, my body was fighting itself. They said it was like nothing they'd ever seen. All they could do was hook me up on a respirator and IV and hope I don't go catatonic. Well, guess what happened? Legally, I died for 20 minutes. My heart stopped and everything went dead. The doctors were in shambles, almost more than my mother. Nothing in the world could have made sense of any of it. And then I just sort of woke up. Bizarre? Absolutely. Inexplicable? Almost. That was all that was told to me about what happened on the outside. Here's what I remember at the hospital after the room emptied and I was alone. Remember how I said I couldn't remember much about when I was surrounded by a crowd of people? The opposite was true when I was alone. Right as the door shut, I felt a shock of clarity. More clarity than a random 5-year-old should have. I felt every corner of the room, every dark shadow that coalesced away the light. And I felt it all leave. I felt myself dissipate. I looked down at my hands and they were translucent. I was fading away like a distant memory. Air passed through my body as if it wasn't even there, and I felt everything. Most importantly, I felt something enter the room. The door remained shut, completely closed. Not a rat could squeeze its body through that crack, yet what managed to do so was no rat. I felt a second set of eyes beyond my own open up. No, I don't mean a third eye or a set above my eyebrows. I mean my eyes were open, and they opened again. I glanced into the room and saw what I can only describe as a mass, a big one. It was black, divine, but not angelic. I felt I was peering into the abyss of a deep chasm that could never be escaped. Words shot through my mind. "Tommy, are you alive?" It conjured. I couldn't reply. "Vessel, don't die. Your body is not your own. Let me free it," was proclaimed. With hindsight, there is something so vague about this statement. Let me free it. Free it from whatever is plaguing me? Free it from me? And don't forget the most chilling description of myself I've ever had the displeasure of hearing: vessel. As a young child would, I complied without knowing. Whatever tether was gripping me to this entire plane of existence shattered. Both sets of eyes became one again as I saw the silhouette shimmer into view. A tall, ghastly thing? It wasn't humanoid in the slightest. There was a semblance of a body and a head, but beyond that, it was nothing on Earth. A stretched mouth wrapped around its torso, etched with pin-like teeth. A block of flesh coated in eyes sat upon its body, which I assumed to be a head. Patchy, stringy, and long hair covered its body like a winter coat, and long cylindrical appendages poked from the blob it sat its head upon. No hands nor tentacles, just long stretches of flesh. It looked like a gaping wound in reality. Its maw widened and blood-like fluid poured out from it, soaking me. In the split second it happened, my surroundings vanished into a pitch black. After this, I simply woke up with a message etched into my mind. Cherish, Harbinger, for none shall die before you. As I woke up, blood spewed from my mouth, not like a cough or a drip, a geyser. Doctors were surrounding me, their eyes glued open in shock to my survival. The heart rate monitor was cold until now, and now I had twice as much blood in my system as before, despite their efforts to drain it. I missed school that day, and when I got back, everyone greeted me with cards and gifts. Heartfelt words of joy were all I heard for a week. But that message still rang in my head. It still does. Sometimes it's the most vivid thing I feel. Nothing else felt so real before or after. I've done everything to reclaim that feeling and none of it worked. It's driven me fucking crazy. I've told therapists, doctors, friends, family, and none understood. A few days ago, I started to feel sick again. Something peculiar is that after that day, I've never gotten sick until now. It's like I was healed of all ailments and gained some kind of super immunity. It started with a headache and a fever, and slowly is progressing into a pain in my chest. My heartbeat is irregular, as if it's beating twice as much. My stomach hurts and I'm struggling to eat food. I don't know what's going on, but I feel my mind slipping in and out again. This is why I've come posted this today. I've come to tell my story and ask you all your opinions. Was it a dream or am I just crazy? What was it if it was in fact as real as I think it was? Am I going back? What's happening to me? I don't think I have much time.